when I was admitted in January of 1943, there were already 200 women lawyers in LA, which is something most people don't realize.
As the election times rolled around, male judge candidates wanted the endorsement of the women lawyers and the women judges. And that made a difference. Made a difference in how they perceived us and how they treated us.
What we did was we infiltrated the State Bar Convention by getting a women lawyers delegation. We wrote the community property law, giving women equal management and control of community property. We presented credible candidates. We gave them lists of women, qualified women, but not just women, feminist women. And we got these women elected and appointed.
WLALA does so much more. I mean, obviously the organization with its history project, and it advocates on issues of choice and things like that. WLALA in particular also provides scholarships and grants so that the next generation of women lawyers can help attain their goals.
Because I graduated in 1965, I have collected a few firsts, and the first was to be the first woman assistant district attorney. That's the number 3 position. And then my second, I think, significant first was as the first woman United States attorney in the Central District of California.
I am the first African-American woman appointed to the bankruptcy court in the Ninth Circuit.
The first woman president of the State Bar of California is the most important first in my life.
What was it like to be the, you said, only female appellate judge at the time?
I was used to being the only female because I was the only female in every structure I was in.
I was making a closing argument. It was a non-jury trial. It was a court trial. And I was very adamant in my argument and got into it, and I had prepared, and I thought I gave a good argument. And this judge said to me, "Mrs. Kitching, you are so cute when you're mad." I remember that.
When the male students were talking, nobody bothered to look around or turn around, but let a female voice begin, and suddenly you were the center of attention, and you had better be prepared.
And that was a tough time. Really a lot of catcalls. We got a lot of very challenging, distasteful kinds of statements, like, you know, what are you doing here? You're taking up room that a man could use because the man is going to practice law, and you've got no business wasting the state's money and taking a seat from somebody else, that sort of thing.
Right around the 70s is when I was in law school. You'd have a couple of professors that maybe once a month they would call on only women. And you knew once they started it was, okay, girls, we're going to get it today. It's Ladies' Day.
I remember once going to the DA's office for a job, and they said, when your husband comes home from overseas, are you planning to start a family? I know that's a question that you can no longer ask, but in those days, that's what they asked.
I went to a large, wonderful West Side liberal law firm for a job interview, and had one of those fabulous interviews where the person and I are connecting, and in walks the senior partner. And the senior partner sits down, doesn't acknowledge himself, and just kind of looks at me. And I just kind of smiled at him. And at a certain point, he cleared his throat and said, "How do you get over the fact you're a woman?" And he really wanted an answer.
I remember when I was sitting in criminal courts that some of the attorneys would object to having a woman judge, and so for whatever reason, and just because she was a woman.
So I went over and went up to the city attorney's office to be told that they did not hire women. And his reason was, it wasn't that he felt women had no place in the law, but he thought women should not be prosecutors or should not be in criminal law. And I'm sure that one of the reasons that I took it was because I was to be the first. And the second woman was hired shortly after me. So I think they realized the place wasn't going to fall apart so they could hire another woman.
My first job in Washington was with the Justice Department Civil Rights Division. I was only the second woman they ever hired. I wasn't really allowed to appear in court. I had to pretend like I was a secretary. We would go all over the South to try cases. It was really different.
When I started as a young lawyer, there were a lot of women. There were a lot of women in the district attorney's office. There was still a lot of sexism from some older white defense counsel who weren't used to having a female as the opponent attorney. People would often come into court, older men, and ask me if I was the interpreter. And that was always surprising to me. And I was like, no, actually, I'm the district attorney on your case. And so that was always surprising. People would call you honey or sweetie or that kind of thing. I think there's just a sense that you weren't necessarily being taken seriously for the work that you did.
When I began practice, having a place where women could talk openly about the issues that they faced without people saying, oh, you're imagining that or you're being too sensitive is very important. Creating opportunities for women to be in the community, to be in the legal community, and take on positions of leadership is an important demonstration of the abilities of women.
Women's bar associations play a really important role for women in the legal profession, especially for women that don't work with a lot of women at their jobs. And it's just a safe forum to talk about issues, whether it's how do I get my CLE credit, what do I do to become partner, what do I do to get appointed to public office. There is somebody within WLALA that you can talk to about anything. And I don't know of any other bar association that is like that. WLALA is very supportive and provides great mentorship to everybody.
The most important thing that I learned early on from my friends at Women Lawyers, early 50 years ago, was to be yourself.
Through the Women Lawyers Association, I found role models and people that were doing it and making it work and just kept swimming, so to say.
What WLALA has given me are those lead chair opportunities, the opportunity to speak on a panel, the opportunity to serve on a board where I have a voice.
The members of WLALA and the members of the board have been some of my best professional friends and, quite frankly, some of my biggest champions.
I think that it's so important to be involved in WLALA. I think that having the support of women at all levels of their careers at WLALA, to see all the different types of practices that you can do, all the different ways that you can run your life, is just so, it's energizing for me.